Outstanding. Not something I read about. I saw it. So I'm speaking from the truth. So let's talk about worldwide threats, if you don't mind. This may go back and forth to Mr. Glasheen and Mr. Kent.
This congressman raises concerns about global threats, cyber warfare, undersea cables, human trafficking, real issues, heavy issues. And Secretary Kristi Noem steps in with what I can only describe as a greatest hits medley of government agencies and buzzwords.
My questions, first and foremost, is the nefarious actors globally, they're kind of everywhere. And as we try to protect the motherland in the cyberspace, air, sea, and land, something that's come to my attention in the committee hearing we had earlier, undersea cabling. And I don't know if you're a subject matter expert on this. I really wasn't until this hearing. But a large amount of our information flows under the water, something that most people aren't aware of, but I can assure you that the bad actors globally probably are. Now, it's multi-jurisdictional from what I understand. It's the Department of Justice, it's Department of War, and then it's Department of Homeland Security. And they kind of juggle these, kind of juggle the effort. Can you give me some insight on the protection mechanism that Homeland Security has for our undersea cabling? And I consider this a very viable threat specifically for information flow, considering everything that goes back and forth across the water. Can you give me a kind of a high-level briefing, considering the atmosphere of what we're looking at?
Yes, I can, and I'll try to leave some time for the other individuals too. But the Department of Homeland Security has 23 different components. Several of them have some responsibility for surveillance and monitoring of those cables and the information that flows through them. So CISA is our cybersecurity agency, which looks for bad actors, hunts down those bad actors, and then hardens our systems. So where we see a weakness or a vulnerability, they help us do that with the interactions we have with private companies, their communications, or other countries. But then we also have our Coast Guard out on the waters each and every day, which help us with surveillance activities to see if there's nefarious actors that would be out there jeopardizing those systems. We have INA, which is our intelligence and analysis. They are the ones that are helping us with our covert operations. They're the ones who are coordinating with our intelligence agencies on what we see as hacking attempts or enemies that would try to endanger those cables or cut them, damage them so that they couldn't be utilized to keep our critical infrastructure going. FEMA is the agency that's responsible for, on our worst day, if we needed something or someone to run the government, if there was an attack in this country, FEMA is the agency that would do that and maintains the resources to making sure that we have an operating government in an emergency disaster situation.
I know there's redundancy on the cabling system, and there's from what I understand, there's over 1 million miles of cable underwater. I want to make sure that we have enough protection in place so the ripple effect is not catastrophic to the country. Mr. Kent, you got something to add to that? I was going to shift over to Mr. Glasheen.
In terms of undersea cabling, no, I do not.
Okay. Mr. Glasheen, I have a question for you. So as far as trafficking, human trafficking, drug trafficking, this always hurts me to say this, but Houston, Texas is in my district, and it is the worst city in the country for sex trafficking in the country. I just cannot believe that. What is the FBI doing amongst other agencies? You just happen to be sitting here in front of me. And Madam Secretary, you can probably jump in on this too. Enough's enough. I understand the complexities of the World Wide Web and how these bastards are doing this, and we can't seem to grab a hold of them. What's the answer?
Our HSI investigators specialize in child trafficking and human trafficking. They get up every single day and hunt down those individuals that victimize our children and partner with nonprofits and other agencies with the FBI to do that. Yes, it's shocking to me that Houston is one of the hotbeds as well.
We need to take a better look at this because we're losing. I mean, we're losing so bad, I don't even know how to define it. And this has been happening. I said this exact same thing to Mr. Mayorkas, and if I was here before that, I'd say the same thing again. It's just, we have not figured it out. Mr. Glasheen, you got anything for that?
Yeah, I would tell you, it's been a priority with this director. And, so far this year, compared to last year, we have 300 plus human traffickers arrested, up 15%.
I'm sorry, sir. Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
I appreciate that, and
I'll catch you after class.
if one of the following witnesses wants to give him some time to answer that very important question, they can do that. Gentleman yields back. I now recognize.
Here's the uncomfortable truth this hearing accidentally exposes. The U.S. government is very good at describing threats. It's very good at nomming agencies. It's very good at projecting seriousness. What it struggles with, especially at the leadership level, is accountability and clarity. Secretary Noem didn't lie in this exchange. That's not the issue. The issue is that she spoke around the problems instead of into them. Undersea cables are vulnerable, but we don't hear about funding gaps, jurisdictional confusion, or whether private companies are actually being regulated or just coordinated with. Human trafficking is devastating, but we don't hear about demand-side enforcement, economic exploitation, immigration vulnerabilities, or why prevention keeps failing despite decades of task forces and arrests. And that's where the frustration sets in. Because when lawmakers ask, "What's the answer?" and the response is essentially, "We're trying," that tells you something profound. The system is reactive, not transformative. This exchange wasn't about incompetence. It was about limitation. It showed us a Department of Homeland Security that is sprawling, fragmented, and dependent on interagency cooperation that often looks better on paper than it does in practice. It showed us leaders who rely on institutional momentum instead of measurable outcomes. And it showed us a Congress that knows things are broken but doesn't quite know how, or isn't willing, to force real change. And for regular people watching this, for parents worried about online exploitation, for communities dealing with trafficking, for workers whose lives depend on digital infrastructure staying online. Trust us isn't enough anymore. Not when threats are evolving faster than policy. Not when technology outpaces regulation. Not when exploitation thrives in the gaps between agencies. If anything, this hearing should remind us that security isn't just about surveillance and arrests. It's about prevention, transparency, and political courage. And until leaders start speaking plainly about what isn't working, not just what exists, we're going to keep having these hearings, keep hearing these same answers, and keep wondering why, year after year, the problems never seem to shrink. That's the real takeaway here. Not the agencies, not the acronyms, not the statistics, but the silence around what meaningful reform would actually require. If you found this breakdown useful, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and drop your thoughts in the comments, especially if you think Congress is asking the wrong questions, or if you think DHS leadership needs to be far more specific than this. Let's keep the conversation going.